Man, you got to understand something about the past. We're living in this crazy age right now, 2026, where anything you see on a screen could be fake. AI can generate a video of me wrestling a shark in my studio, and people would believe it for a hot second. But back in the day, before all that digital wizardry, things were different. When a story hit the local newspaper, it was a big deal. These weren't bloggers chasing clicks. These were journalists on the ground, writing down what people were telling them face to face. These old newspaper clippings, they're like time capsules. They're raw, unfiltered accounts of weird stuff happening in small towns across America long before the internet could turn everything into a meme. These reports are a window into a different era of belief and skepticism. These newspaper reports are the fossil record of that exact moment of discovery and doubt, preserved in brittle, yellowing paper. They're important. Let's start with a classic case from Albany, Oregon. This wasn't some wild-eyed mountain man spinning a yarn. This story kicks off with two boys who find something that blows their minds. They're near some lakes, just doing what kids do, and they come across these massive tracks. Think about that for a second. You're a kid and you see prints in the dirt that are 17.5 inches long and 5.5 inches wide. That's not a bear. That's not a dude in big shoes. The report says the prints had 5 toes and a square heel, a detail that comes up again and again in these accounts. These kids weren't just seeing one print either. They followed a whole track line. It went through a field and even crossed a creek. Along the way, they found other signs that something powerful had passed through: snapped twigs, bent over leaves. Naturally, people got excited and did the smart thing. They made plaster casts. A state trooper immediately called it a hoax, suggesting someone strapped on some carved boards and stomped around. The investigator pushed back. He pointed out that authentic Bigfoot tracks often appear flat-footed. Now, let's jump over to Conway County, Arkansas. Different state, different year, but a strangely similar story unfolds. A guy is just out and about and stumbles upon these huge 15-inch tracks running along a road. Again, this isn't deep in some impenetrable forest. It's near civilization, which makes it even weirder. So what does he do? He doesn't just post it on social media. He calls a veterinarian. He calls a photographer. He's bringing in professionals, people trained to observe and to document. The veterinarian's analysis is what makes this case fascinating. He's not a Bigfoot guy. He's an animal doctor. He's looking at it from a biological perspective and a mechanical perspective. He examines the soil compression, the depth of the prints, and comes up with a weight estimate: 400 to 500 pounds. He notes the stride, human-like, not like a bear's shuffle. He openly considers the possibility of a hoax, saying someone could have faked it by jumping around with weighted pads on their feet. But then he adds a crucial line: if it was a hoax, it was a damn good one. He took action. He made his own plaster cast to take back for further study. He was treating it like a potential scientific discovery, not a joke.
Then you get the Paul Freeman case from Washington State in 1992. This one adds another layer to the evidence pile: film. Freeman claimed he was out hunting for mushrooms when he had his encounter. He saw a tall, dark, bipedal creature and managed to grab his camcorder. He got about 15 seconds of footage from a distance of around 70 yards. Now, this is pre-HD, pre-stabilization. The footage is shaky, the figure is small in the frame. You can see something moving with a distinctly human-like gait, a fluid motion that's hard to replicate in a bulky costume. He claimed a similar sighting back in 1982, which adds to his story's consistency. The story got picked up by a local TV station, which talked about professionally enhancing the footage. One camp said, "This is it. We finally have one on film." They dissected every frame, analyzed the creature's powerful stride and its arm swing. Skeptics tore it apart. They said it was just a guy in a cheap gorilla costume, pointed to the distance, the shakiness, and the short duration. The Freeman film became a Rorschach test, but either way, it was physical media, a tape that could be watched, analyzed, and argued over. Let's head over to Idaho near the Blackfoot Reservoir. This case is wild. It's not about a single set of tracks. It's about a whole family of them. A local family found multiple track lines with 3 distinct sizes.
The largest print was a whopping 17 inches long. They started calling them Bigfoot, Bigfoot Jr., the mother. One set of tracks even had what looked like a foot deformity, an injury or a pathology, which is an incredibly difficult detail to fake over a long trackway. Her assessment was clear. The tracks were not from a bear. They weren't human. Some prints were pressed incredibly deep into the ground, suggesting immense weight. They were smart enough to make casts. The casts survived even after a rainstorm washed away many original impressions. For them, this wasn't a game. It was something real and profound that had walked across their land. The human element here is powerful. Their dogs were acting strangely. Some neighbors felt unsafe. Plenty of wilderness for a large animal or a family to hide. Hoaxers tend to make perfect prints. An imperfect injured foot is the hallmark of a real organism. So, you look at all these stories together, Albany, Conway County, Paul Freeman, the Idaho family, and a pattern emerges. It's a repeating loop of discovery, documentation, and debate. People find giant, unexplainable prints. They make plaster casts. Experts and police are called in. Some investigators say the evidence is compelling and hard to dismiss. Law enforcement often defaults to a hoax theory. Then you get the occasional piece of blurry film or a grainy photo that just adds more fuel to the fire. These reports are more than just creature features. They're a study in human psychology. You see fear. You see curiosity. You see a desire for fame. You see a genuine scientific quest for answers. The newspapers of the time did their job. They reported the facts as they were presented. They named the witnesses. They quoted the experts. Today, we can 3D scan casts, stabilize and enhance footage, and cross-reference reports for patterns in behavior, anatomy, habitat. With that power, we have to keep a healthy, open-minded skepticism. These old newspapers give us proof on paper that people took this seriously. Was there, and is there, a real unclassified primate? Maybe. Was it hoaxes, misidentifications, and mass hysteria? Maybe. Dismissing it all is lazy. Blind belief is foolish. The only path is to keep looking, keep testing, and follow the breadcrumbs those clippings left behind.
Strange Encounters Archive, cleaned reports from UFO Newsclipping Service. This document contains curated and cleaned reports of strange phenomena, ranging from cryptid sightings to unexplained experiences. All original titles, author credits, dates, and source attributions are preserved. Strange Stories and Elusive Tales by David Streitfeld, Washington Post staff writer. And then there was the baffling case of the angry kangaroo. We found him hopping up the street, said Chicago patrolman Michael Byrne. We chased him for 2 blocks, but he was always 1 hop ahead. Byrne and his partner eventually cornered the growling animal. The roo wasn't receptive to being handcuffed and fought fiercely. So much so that it escaped. During the fall of 1974 in Illinois, other verified sightings of kangaroos occurred, some close enough in time to suggest more than one animal. None were captured, nor explained. It was Wild Kingdom gone wild. Such cases are typical for cryptozoologist Loren Coleman, who for 20 years has investigated strange creatures and events day or night. This is the time of year when I find my most receptive audience, says Coleman. It's part of our culture that there's only 1 month when you can talk about strange and inexplicable things. Coleman, a research associate in child welfare at the University of Southern Maine, has psychology training that helps him identify hoaxes. He believes about 20% of the thousands of reports he's reviewed belong to the hardcore unexplainable. Some cases turn out mundane, kittens mistaken for panthers, planets for UFOs, or boats for lake monsters. But others, like a giant bird carrying off a child in Illinois, or the Dover demon in Massachusetts, are harder to dismiss. I don't necessarily believe in these creatures, he explains, but I find it interesting that hundreds of people claim to have seen them. Very real people are having very extraordinary experiences. Coleman is a leading Fortean, someone who studies unexplained phenomena, a field pioneered by Charles Fort. Fort collected bizarre accounts from newspapers, compiling them in books like the Book of the Damned and Low. Skeptic Martin Gardner argues that Forteans often dwell on the least likely theories. But Coleman defends the approach. As a Fortean, I'm more interested in the evidence than the explanation. Sasquatch Watch. Sighting claim sparks big deal over Bigfoot. By Terry Gilbert for Southam News, Calgary Herald. A recent sighting near Tumbler Ridge by 4 Alberta oil workers has reignited public fascination with Sasquatch. Miles Jack, 30, saw a tall, hairy creature watching from about 30 meters away around 1 a.m. on March 14th. Estimated to be 8 feet tall and 350 pounds, it stood upright and fled into the woods upon being spotted. This thing could move as fast as a deer, Jack said. It sent a chill up my spine. Danny Crow, 27, also witnessed it, initially mistaking it for a bear until its human-like movement became clear. The next day, the men found oversized tracks in the snow. Sasquatch researcher John Green examined the site. Weather and onlookers had degraded the prints, but photos showed a V-shaped knee impression suggesting the creature had knelt. The knees were 3 feet apart. A human can't do that, Green noted. University of Calgary archaeologist Vladimir Markotic, who has collected Sasquatch reports for years, speculates it might be an evolutionary offshoot of the hominid line. If it exists, it's an important biological and anthropological discovery, he said. If not, it's vital Canadian folklore. Markotic noted most sightings describe a large, upright creature with even teeth, human-like eyes, and hairless faces. He supports some claims, including the famous 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film, which he calls compelling. Skeptics cite lack of physical remains, but Coleman counters. Maine is 90% forest. Just because it's on a map doesn't mean it's been explored. He adds that new mammal species are discovered regularly, and suggests extreme theories, such as psychic projections or time travelers, shouldn't be immediately dismissed. Bigfoot seen in area again. By Kim Opatka, Bulletin staff writer. A man in Derry Township, Pennsylvania, claims to have seen Bigfoot twice near Gray Station, once on December 13th. A large object, possibly a railroad tie, landed near him as he walked home. Moments later, he saw a creature with long arms, wide shoulders, and long hair staring at him. It was 8 or 9 feet tall and bigger than anything I've ever seen, said the witness, who remains anonymous. Pets in the area have acted strangely. Neighbors reported strange noises and disappearing animals. Stan Gordon of the Pennsylvania Association for the Study of the Unexplained believes the reports may indicate a creature presence. The man says he's heard grunts outside his trailer. He carries a .44 revolver but says he would not shoot unless necessary. Local experts are divided. Dr. Cynthia Walter, a biology professor, doubts the creature's existence due to the area's high human activity. Others, like Game Commission Supervisor Jack Sickenberger, say anything's possible. Skeptical neighbors remain unconvinced, but Gordon plans to continue investigating and encourages others to report sightings. Bigfoot no stranger to area. The Sun, Paducah, Kentucky, February 15, 1987. 2 unnamed outdoorsmen, Tom and Charlie, separately heard unsettling screams in the land between the lakes region around 1970. Tom climbed a tree when he heard a high-pitched scream that ended in a grunt. Charlie reported similar sounds in the same area. A third witness, Jimmy Vincent, later confirmed the description matched noises he encountered in his own Bigfoot investigations. Vincent of Hendersonville, Tennessee, began researching after personal sightings in the early 1970s. He later founded the Southeast Wildlife Research Association. On October 15, 1977, Vincent saw a reddish-haired creature 7.5 to 8 feet tall in Henry County. He also encountered the creature at close range during a night stakeout. Sightings aren't always reported due to ridicule, Vincent said. He recalled a 1976 incident in Flintville, Tennessee, involving 75 witnesses and a creature repeatedly visiting a home. The family called it Old Wooly. Vincent believes Bigfoot avoids violence but reacts to children's crying. He's used recordings to provoke responses. According to the Bigfoot Casebook, there are over 1,000 reported U.S. sightings between 1818 and 1980. Kentucky, Southern Illinois, and other eastern states have had many reports. Vincent says Mount St. Helens' 1980 eruption disrupted Bigfoot habitats in the Pacific Northwest, traditionally the species' stronghold. He advocates official recognition, noting some states have already declared Bigfoot endangered. Bigfoot hunter claims to have new tracks. Hair News Tribune, Tacoma, Washington. April 16, 1987, Associated Press. Paul Freeman of Walla Walla, Washington, says he discovered Bigfoot tracks and hair samples near Indian Ridge in the Blue Mountains. The footprints stretched for 3/4 of a mile. Freeman, formerly with the U.S. Forest Service, claims regular sightings since 1982. He left his job citing pressure over his Bigfoot claims. He contacted anthropologist Grover Krantz of Washington State University, who verified the tracks and collected samples. Krantz said multiple creatures may have made the prints and called them some of the better ones I've seen. While not fully convinced, Krantz said, "I've seen evidence that cannot be explained any other way."